Hello everyone and welcome to this session as part of the buildingSMART International Standards Summit Marrakesh 2024. Thank you for joining. My name is Ra Twilly and I will be your moderator today. Today's session is titled openBIM Practitioner for buildingSMART Chapters. Our speakers are Hans Hendricks and Marina Korol. The session is scheduled to last 90 minutes, including time for questions at the end. The session is being recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event as soon as possible. Before I hand over to the speakers, I would like to remind you that this is a hybrid event. For online attendees, your microphones will remain muted for the duration of this session. If you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please use the chat box in the control panel. For the attendees here in the room, please keep background noise to a minimum, and if you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please raise your hand and use a microphone. I would also like to bring to your attention that buildingSMART is committed to ensuring that participation in the development of standards is unrestricted and the process for their adoption is transparent, and standards that are developed do not favor any particular provider and are open, non-binding and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. And now I'll hand over to Hans and Marina.
Thank you.
Hello, dear guests of the very important session about openBIM Practitioner implementation for chapters. So welcome to our session.
Yeah, my name is Hans Hendricks. Thanks, Marina.
Yeah, so we are ready to start to launch the session, and maybe some of you have been with us yesterday at the plenary session when we launched the program. Please, if you have if you have been with us, please raise your hands so that we understand. Okay, very good. It's important because there will be some slides which may seem familiar to you from yesterday, but the whole concept of today's session is different. So it is made more practical. So, and the idea of the session is to equip you with all the information needed. You as a chapter representatives needed to make your decision how to follow, what to do, what the whole process. So this is what we are aiming at. Okay. So wrong direction. Oh, this is okay. Different slide, by the way.
Yeah, it's working
a delay. So sorry, we have this bit difference what we see here and there. So we start with the agenda for today's meeting, so that you have the understanding what's to expect from us. We start with the introduction, and then we will name the features. Oh, finally, it's synchronized. We will name the key features of the program openBIM Practitioner, how it's now being designed, finalized. And then we take a deep look at the content and technical aspects of that, of both training content and examination, and also have a look at certification process as a process, and to understand how the roles are defined and shared among participants of the process and who those participants are. And then what is, I think, most interesting for you, how to implement it in your country, on your markets, how this international and national parts can live together to make it more applicable and in more demand on the markets, on your markets. And then they will have a dedicated part of this session today, where we'll share with you more details about what you are going to get, what materials will support your process, how to get prepared for this implementation from various perspectives. And also we are going to have, I believe, significant Q&A part of our session, because for us it's very important to have your feedback, to get your questions, to understand what is maybe not clear enough. Hans, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, maybe it's good, Marina, to say in the question and answers, we have enough time. So if you have questions, please write them down, and afterwards we will love to answer them. We have, as a backup, also prepared some questions, because we are also curious in chapters what is playing on, and do you recognize that already in this curriculum, and so on. So if you have not so much questions, we have a small Menti questions, and we would like to have a dialogue with you about that.
And we start with the introduction. First, let us introduce ourselves. So I'm Marina Karol. I'm with the buildingSMART Professional Certification program. Now is the 7th year. From the very beginning, I think I was participating in the development of Foundation as a program. I'm a consultant. I live in Montenegro and work in the Balkan region.
Yeah, my name is Hans Hendricks. I have also my BIM consultancy company in the Netherlands, small company. I give consultancy to clients, but also to contractors, etc. I was very happy that Celine was contacting me a long time ago already and asked if I could help with this curriculum. So I did it with a lot of pleasure. And maybe that's a good also switch to the next slide, because we are speaking about we, like we ended yesterday, but there was a lot of people involving. So there were people from the pilot chapters, Germany, Austria, Italy, but also we had testers, we had reviewers, and so on.
Yes, it will come. Okay. So, but here today, we represent task force for specific task to make openBIM Practitioner international. So you see both of us, and it's also one name which should be mentioned here.
Yeah, this one name we would like to mention in the beginning, because there is a great data set developed. This data set is created by Jan Brouwer in order of buildingSMART International. But this data set, I will explain later, is created to help them in the training, but also we will use that for the exam.
And yesterday at our presentation, we actually finished our presentation with naming the teams which contributed to the development of the program. And today we'd love to start with them, naming them, so that before we go step by step explaining about the program, you could see what a great force is actually behind this development. And this is very, very difficult, different types of participants of the project. We got a great support from buildingSMART itself, from the organization, from different teams, from leadership, who provided us with a very strict guidance from the very beginning, and then definitely management office. And Celine, thank you so much for leading us, helping us on this way, which was not always easy. I see Mark here, so thanks a lot, Mark. Your support was very, very, very significant in the right moment. Thank you. And also technical team. Maybe it makes sense to name the names.
Yeah, the technical team like Leon, Arthur, Ivandro, Yusheng, yes, for the So, but yeah, there is actually too many names to mention, otherwise we will forget. But I would like also to mention the CRBIM Alliance. I don't know if they're in the audience, people from CRBIM. Oh, nice. Thank you a lot for the contribution and participation. So that's helping us also in the program.
Yeah, and also our development started with consultations with pilot chapters. So we learned a lot from their experience. So 3 countries who launched the program the year before, Germany, Austria, and Italy. So we also consulted a lot with experts on various markets, on specific services and standards of buildingSMART. So the best people in this area. So also again their experience, and also openBIM educators, consulted with several registered training providers, understanding their needs and their views on how openBIM practitioner should look like, and we got a lot from these interviews and consultations. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for all these teams, participants. And now let's turn to the key features of openBIM practitioner, because we know that it's a product which has been awaited for quite a long time, and many chapters were interested in launching this in their regions. That's why it's important that from the very start it could be applicable for various markets and countries. But the most important thing to mention here is maybe just to set the right expectations, because if you look at the way how that was structured in pilot chapters for specific profiles, like for BIM specialist, for BIM coordination, for BIM management, it's not the case with the program which we are introducing now. It is one curriculum for all roles, for all profiles, and that's why it is applicable, irrelevant to the country, because this definition of the roles is normally is done in the standards, professional standards, so it is applicable for specific countries. This is not the case for this international core content. This is very important, and we'll discuss how to apply it at the latest stage. So one profile, one content for openBIM practitioner. So then it's important to mention that we managed to include all the latest developments of buildingSMART International here in the content, and it also has a lot of consequences, which we will discuss later, actually throughout the whole presentation.
Yeah, about the latest development. Clive presented already yesterday the workflow. This is an oral representation, but to explain a little bit what happened. In the pilot chapters, they developed already this curriculum, and we noticed that the latest development, for example, IDS is released this year. It's quite new, but there is a lot of traction on that. So we included that now in the curriculum. BCF, of course, it's called 2020, but as they said yesterday, a lot of new software vendors are implementing that. So it helps us also to have that in curriculum. Oh, it's switching.
It's not me, sorry.
And also BSDD, there were a lot of recently developments, a new user interface with a new search functionality. So we included that also, we referenced that in the body of knowledge. IFC, also a lot of new developments about 4.3. I must mention that the data set, as I present later, will be used in IFC 4. That has also to do because people has to have already some knowledge and skills already on beforehand. So we used in that data set version 4. But also the IFC validation tool, the service is recently available. So we could include happily everything in this curriculum about that.
Yeah. Okay. Also important moment that it is training and certification program. That was a decision made at some point of its development, but there were also possible different scenarios. There were proposals to make it pure certification program, because you know that if you are talking about practitioners, that means that the professionals applying this standard services on a daily basis, and maybe there is no need to train them, to educate them, because they are just need to prove their knowledge, their skills and competencies, and just get certified. But after deep analysis of the situation, we came to the conclusion that there is a real gap in the skills, and there are a lot of great professionals knowing some aspects of the openBIM flow, and especially new standard services are not always familiar. And if we add this training program, this very solid material, robust material, that will give the professionals opportunity to get familiar with it and start using in their practical work. So even if it is for practitioners, still it makes sense that we provide a very solid training program to the participants of the program. So again, certification is this. From the very beginning, the idea was to make it compliant with the requirements of ISO 17024. This is standards conformity assessment general requirements for bodies operating certification of persons. So from the perspective of this standard, buildingSMART International is a certification body, and chapters, buildingSMART chapters, are participating in this process with their personnel. So it's very important, because it is different to what we used to have with foundation as a qualification program. So that's why I think it's good that we are meeting today to explain various aspects of this new process, and that will allow us to look at how the whole program looks like, training and certification, the parties which are involved, and the responsibilities of the parties, again, which is something new compared to what we used to have with foundation. So training and certification program, and this is separate activities, separate processes. So, and that is important to implement correctly in order that we could stay compliant with these standards requirements. So this standard requires development of certification scheme, and we really pretty early developed it, and it went through review from the steering committee side and CCE also, and we got very good comments which we implemented, and that was a kind of skeleton for the program, and it gave us the opportunity then to develop necessary details to the program. And we introduced prerequisites. It is a part of certification scheme, prerequisites for certification. And among those prerequisites are foundation certificate is one of those, 2 years of practical experience at minimum for practitioner, and completion of openBIM practitioner training. That refers to what I started with. This training is necessary because we want that most of our participants succeed during the exam. And since there is a lot of new stuff which we bring, it is important that the certification completed. But it also means some procedures which we need to follow to check that prerequisites are met. This is important story which we'll refer to later as well. now.
Yeah, then about the content. The idea was to focus on the buildingSMART standards. We had a lot of thoughts, ideas, all kinds of ideas around it, but we are focusing on the buildingSMART standards and services. So there was determined it should be international, it should be the core content. Local chapters can add something to it, but let's focus on the core content. So it should be practical as possible, and it should be suitable for the infra as well, for the buildings. It should be included the latest developments, and also it should be a starting point for the training. So a training should be followed, as Marina said, because there are a lot of new aspects in it. Then learning outcomes are defined happily together, as Marina said, with a lot of people, and we defined 5 modules in totally 29 topics. And it has a kind of workflow as people are using in daily. So first, they should have knowledge. Then it's about making the requirements. Then there is a production of openBIM data, creating all kinds of things. Then the model check and a validation, and on the end, a lot of communication and management. So we use this framework as learning outcome. And from the learning outcome, switch to the next slide. Oh, thank you. From the learning outcome, a body of knowledge was defined. And as you maybe already know from the chapters, it's the same principle as in the foundation, in the body of knowledge, referring to the useful references. In this case, we had the luck, I must say, that there was a recently published BIM-CERT handbook. So it was released already earlier, but it was updated this year, and we could use a lot of these references in the body of knowledge, since it was also capturing the latest developments. So it was really useful to have that. But also other references, and as Clive yesterday already mentioned, the buildingSMART website was updated also. So we included a lot of new links. People were already used to the buildingSMART website, but we included the latest links about that. The body of knowledge is a confidential document. The learning outcome will be publicly available. And from the body of knowledge, we defined together with the technical team which module, which topics should be included in a training as practical task. So we have questions for later in the exam, but in a training, most of the training exercises will cover the practical task. This is just an impression, it's also blurred out, but it seems like this, and people has to create, for example, an IDS of BCF as I showed yesterday. Yeah, and then about the dataset, as mentioned, this nice dataset is created in order from buildingSMART International by Jan Brouwer. It's including building, but also infra domain, also including some new entities, but also built up from aspect models. So there is an architectural model, a structural model, but also an MEP model, and it fits like tiles into each other, also with the idea it's a modular system, so we could extend that later on also. The idea in this whole curriculum is that the idea is that the candidate can choose their own software. So it's an openBIM philosophy, and a practical task, for example, creating a BCF, the candidate is free to choose the software to do it. We noticed also by the reviewers that they liked it, that other domains are included. So from practical side, normally people are working, for example, on buildings only, and now they learn also something about the infrastructure objects or MEP, etc. So that was also a nice experience, and we decided not to split that because we had that idea in the beginning, maybe a kind of infra curriculum and a building, but on the end we decided to keep it as one core content. There's also how say that, performance-wise, Celine said it already, is a cartoonish style of this data set. And we noticed that it's for performance-wise better. There are a lot of big buildings in the world, and if we use that for the training and the exam, it could bring us in risk performance-wise. So we noticed that this small data set is really usable. Then also about the registered training providers, they can use that and also extend that with local, national working methods. Also, as I said in the beginning, this data set is now available as IFC 4, but there is also a version 2x3 available. So if people want to see the differences and so on. And yeah, there is the idea is to use the training also as a kind of practicing data set before they go to the exam.
Now let's move to the processes. I didn't mean to frighten you here, but this is the process, top level process of certification. So how it is stated, defined in ISO 17024, what the whole process consists of. It's application, assessment, decision on certification. So it is from start to the end, where we can have a couple of rejections. First, application may be rejected in case if the prerequisites are not met, so that after checking, maybe if some important documents are missing, so then the applicant may be rejected with the application. And the second failure may happen if the examination was not successful. This is initial certification. Also, a part of certification scheme is actually information or statement about recertification. In our case, it should happen every 3 years. We believe that within 3 years, there's so much development happens that the certified person should go through update training from training provider, and then have this recertification exam. But as you see, it happens later in the process, not from initial certification. That's why it is on another line. And then the last one is the process of using logos and certification itself. So let's now look in more details in a couple of processes, just to illustrate for you who is doing what. And this is the first contact between the interested person, whom we can call applicant at the moment, the first request for information. Because again, as I said, the process is more complicated than with foundation. That's why we developed this approach, but let's look at it in more details. We see that applicant and chapter are expressed here as black poles. That means that not too many things happening with them at the very first stage here. So just applicant expresses his or her interest, and it happens through the web form on the website. All details will come later, and automatically after, so the form contains only the first and second name and the email. So in reply, this person receives a document, I think it's now about 10 pages, explaining, describing the whole process, what is happening on each stage of certification, on each of the stages, so that the person who just wants to understand what to expect from the process gets it in one document automatically. And it is sent from buildingSMART International service, and then we assume that the chapter should get notification. When the person applies here, the person first should choose the exam. So exam which is linked to the chapter. So in a particular country, if exam is available, what is it actually? Is it just international exam, or is it national? Maybe some of the titles. And then that means that already the person understands that there is a chapter with whom they will work later. So the exam is available. So, and that the chapter is getting this notification about this expressed interest. And the next more detailed process I would like to present to you. Here we see that it is the chapter itself now gets involved in the process. This is how verification happens. So it all starts with the person who started this application guide, and after this decides to pursue the certification, so everything satisfies with the person, then they based on the link which will be provided to the person, they provide their documents. These documents should prove, it is documents should evidence that all the prerequisites are met. The list of documents or materials is developed. You can see that to prove foundation certification, there is certification ID, that the documents which can prove the practical experience of the person also described, all the options available for that case. And also completion of the training from registered training provider is also provided. So we analyzed the stuff, so we are now almost finished implementation, automation of this process, how it looks like. So made already our tests. So, and if everything is okay, then decision is made on that the person can get admission to the exam. So all prerequisites are met. And please, I would like to draw your attention that this is done by the chapter. So this is not buildingSMART International. So it's important to have in mind this case. And if it works, if it's okay, then the chapter sends admission code to the person. Admission code allows the applicant to purchase an exam on the web shop of buildingSMART International. In case this is not successful application, so documents are missing or something is wrong, the ID code actually is wrong, then the rejection letter is sent to the person explaining what is wrong with the documents. So if the purchase is successful, so it's complete, then this code will bring the person directly to the IQP platform, to the examination platform.
And then the examination process. Actually, there are two types of exams. So if we stay to the core content, it's the exam, the international exam. If a local chapter wants to extend that, you have an extra possibility to have a half-hour exam extra. So there are two types of choices. Also, there should be taken care of the software. So we believe it's a responsibility of the training provider that the software is in place with a license and that they can fulfill the same kind of task as they did in a training. And also a required hardware should be in place for the exam. And as I said, the core exam is 2 hours, 120 minutes, and you can extend it as a local chapter with 30 minutes. Yeah, and maybe it's also good to say that this national exam, it is an oral part then. The pilot chapters are doing that also, but in the core exam, it's only on the IQP platform. So you do that in the platform, online, and national exam is extended with the oral. Yeah. Oh, the software. Yeah, I think yeah, it's mentioned enough, Marina. Yeah. Yeah. And it's maybe you recognize that the platform is the same as in the foundation. There will be also a quiz on beforehand to get familiar with the platform, because there are several types of questions, multiple choice questions, but also drag and drop, as I explained yesterday, so you can get used to the platform, but it's the same platform as the foundation. There is a difference, because now in the Practitioner there are practical tasks. So you have to download and upload files. And that's a different approach than in the foundation. It's also important on the end that people have to submit so they can review everything if they are satisfied about their answers, and then they have to submit that. And as you know from the platform, 2 hours for the core content. In the right top corners every time the time what left available for the candidates. So it's familiar with the foundation.
And now I think the part which is of most interest for many chapters, what is our approach for international and national content in the examination. So what we are presenting to you now during this summit, the content which is ready to start translation implementation is international part, and as we mentioned yesterday, it is applicable to any country without any contradictions with local regulations. So it's fully based on buildingSMART standards and services, and certification, and the certificate itself will be stating exactly this case in international certification, openBIM practitioner. Translation of the content, which is sometimes happening, sometimes not, maybe left also in English. It depends on the country and the applicability of this type of exams and decisions of the chapter. So we have learning outcome framework to be translated, body of knowledge, training tasks, and exam questions, and examination tasks. So no localization of data sets are, say, assumed. So we don't expect any localization for that. I think it is even prohibited, maybe.
Because the data set was especially prepared for that. There is no Dutch or no German or other local content in it. We were also looking to the pilot chapters. They have also nice data sets, but for example, in Germany, you are stuck with the properties, with the German names, and also the values and so on. So in this data set for the international, we would love to have it only in English available. But yeah.
Then about national content and how it can look like when you, chapter makes a decision, when you would like to see it, the certification itself, so that it is better tailored to the market demands. This is again the should supplement international core content, which is a mandatory part. At the moment of start of the program, it can only be done in one form, so it's extra 30 minutes oral examination. Maybe later, maybe when we make a review of certification scheme in 1 year or in year and a half, with your proposals, we'll look and make other formats available for international part as well. But we start with that, and we'll see how it goes, and then we'll be ready for any adaptations. What it means actually, this national part when you launch it, it means that the chapter should form an examination board. So these examiners who will be interviewing participants for this part, because international part is to the large extent automated. In this case, if this is this national component is present, and for example, I believe there might be not one but a couple of titles of this certification. They may be again coordinator and manager if it is specified in national standards. The chapter may decide that it is the right thing to have. And then there will be 3, maybe 2 exams, which will be combined form of exam, including international and national part. But there are some extra activities needed. And now I think what might be interesting for you, the materials that chapter receives when chapter signs with buildingSMART to participate in openBIM Practitioner. So, okay, learning outcome framework is something available for everyone to learn about the program, a body of knowledge and training exercises. Examination content repository. It includes both data sets and various types of exams. Everything, if you decide to be translated and then uploaded into the platform to have your exam in your native language. We also have one document which actually we mentioned yesterday, the presentation, the whole program, the whole learning outcomes. We have for each this document, which is tasks and competencies. And I believe that for training providers, it will be important to have it in front of you. So it is the whole list of tasks and competencies which have been developed and checked before the person goes for certification. Then a policy and process document. We have special annex for the general document describing this curriculum specifically. Then we have applicant guide, the document which we already referred to. So when the person just expresses interest in the program, then they get it automatically before even applying with all their documents, just to check if it is the right program and if it is affordable from all the perspectives. Then a candidate guide. Candidate guide, it's another document. It is for those who already admitted for examination. It is a more detailed explanation of examination process with all details, with some details on the platform, what to expect, how it goes in relation to what type of exam it is, international, national. So it is for candidate, just for examination. Then we have also a registered training provider guide, because the role compared to foundation is different, but still the expectations of the trainers are very high. So we explained in much details actually this requirements and all the arrangements for registered training providers. So they are very important participants in this process. But it is different, as I said already, compared to foundation. So the training providers are involved at the training phase, not involved in certification itself. And certification body, as I said, is buildingSMART International, and those personnel from chapters who are involved in the process. It is a verification of the documents, and also we expect serious participation in the actually decision on certification. So there should be special people there. So we automating the process, but still this is more chapters, but we have it also later in the slides. Then examiner's guide, so for the persons, especially for this examinations with national component in it. And chapter guide. Chapter guide is the document for chapters with all the details and explanations, instructions how to act, how to behave in various situations, so that the process goes smoothly. And now there are a couple of slides for chapters closer to the end of our part, more information for the chapters to consider, what to expect, what to think about in preparation, how to make a decision. And we tried to do it more or less in the right order. So once you understand what this program is about, I think it's important to make a decision on national content and number of titles, which I mentioned already. So definitely for the chapters, it is possible just to take this international core content and make a translation if needed, and not to add anything on top of that, if it is okay for the market, if there is no contradictions, if it is just it help to develop, because if you don't have regulation on your markets requiring something specific, maybe this is the best way to do it. Maybe you will later develop this specifications by chapter. So we know the countries where the chapter developed the specifications, but still it's important to make this decision whether you launch it in this format, combined examination, or you are ready to start with international content only. This is important. Then if the chapter goes with national part, then you should think about examination board forming. So they find experts who will be a part of examination on the national part of exam. We have good experience in pilot chapters in Austria. First of all, I think if it is there is a need for some of you, we can help you establish relations and you can consult with Austrian colleagues how they organize the whole process with the examination board. Then again, it is only needed if your chapter goes with the national part as well. So for international, there is no need to have this board. Then the chapter is expected to have administrator, or maybe administrators. It depends on the demand on your market, and those people will be engaged in certification process, as we mentioned that. Both at the phase of verification, when they get application from potential candidates for certification, so to review these documents. Although we provide all the instructions, but still there is a person needed responsible enough to make this decision if the documents are really meeting the requirements, and this person can get admission to the exam. Then again, this chapter should continue regular communication with training providers to get updates on the completion of trainings. So we have some ideas already how to make it for you more say easier and more automated, but it's not for discussion now, later in the details, because it's already works also with pilot chapters now. So this information is needed to chapter to understand if this person who applied for certification has this completed this training. Then documents which prove the practical experience Also, we will discuss in more details which documents this could be. And again, practical experience, including openBIM, but as you know, to some extent, that definitely the person after foundation should understand what is openBIM, but anyway, the person completed training, they, at least, when they apply, they can get this necessary knowledge and skills. So that some skills are necessary, but not full coverage should be required, because the person anyway will get training, at least at this stage. And the next slide. What is also expected from chapters? Decision on the format of examination, it might be different. You may decide in favor of classroom setup or on remote setup, maybe on a combination as you decide, but it is a decision of the chapter. Scheduling exams and organization of proctoring. You might be aware from our communications, webinars that we are working at, also including AI proctoring into the process, and I believe we'll be able to launch it. But in case the person declines this option, the person does not want to participate with AI proctoring, then it is human proctored examination. Then also it is up to chapter to organize this proctoring. And also, again, as it is certification program, and again, buildingSMART International is a certification body, and chapters are with their personnel are participants. There are also some requirements for the chapters to keep records of their candidates, just to stay compliant with the standard. So all the documentation should be kept in order. And also, in case their appeals may come up, then the chapter should have a person who is a member of appeals committee, just in case one representative of chapter is required for these cases when they appear, so not full-time work. And then for your business planning, this information might be useful. For this international examination, international part, the fee is €400. Combined examination with the international national part, the fee is still to be defined. I think we will be able to set it after discussions, negotiations, and the format of this national parts. When we have this information, it will be timely announced and declared. And then the steps to join the program and get the content available. So as usual, as normal, the process is to apply to professional certification committee for signing for openBIM practitioner. And so that starts the process, and then the materials will be made available for you for localization. And actually the training content fully will be ready to be passed over to you from October 15th, and examination content 1 month later, November 15th. This is how we plan it now. And now the important announcements we'd like to make. So if we are going to have Q&A session now. If your questions are not fully answered during the session, I will have an opportunity still today and tomorrow for individual meetings during the summit. There are rooms available for that. Just come up and let's agree, and we can discuss your individual situation with your chapter, with your plans, and your vision, how it should be done in your country, and discuss it for individual situations. Then We are testing the processes. We already have a lot of automated things, but we're still inviting chapters to participate in this testing with us. So if you have just this interest and some resources, just welcome, apply to us. We will include you. It will not take a lot of efforts and time, not very resourceful. And then the important announcement that we reestablish the work of a practitioner subcommittee as a subcommittee of a professional certification program. So then chapters are invited to send their representatives. And I think those chapters who are first, I would like to join. So they are invited most of all. So I think it would be very good, this work, when we can make the process smoother, when we can maybe eliminate some flaws if they appear, so that it becomes a fully functional program as foundation now. So it's important. So you're welcome to delegate your representatives to subcommittee, practitioner subcommittee, and I'm its leader, at least at the moment when we are starting, so that we could make this whole program fully operational and successful. And now with that, we are switching to Q&A session. Hopefully, you have your questions are welcome to any part of today's conversation, any details.
So first of all, thank you very much to both of you and to everyone involved. I mean, it's a mammoth task, and this task force has really done a huge amount in a very short space of time. Just as context, the practitioner level was sort of initiated at the beginning of, I think, 2019, and we've had many sort of iterations and the pilots. And then to bring this together is just extraordinary. I mean, so much covered, so a huge compliment for that.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Thanks.
And maybe a couple of other things. One thing in terms of the business plan, we saw the price of the fee, but also important to note, there's also a fee for training provider registration, which is standard. It's 2,000. You can correct me, €2,000 for all products. Is that right, Selena Zimeno? And then no.
To the level.
Okay, so maybe Marina, then you let us know the pricing of that, just to so that, because that's probably important for chapters to consider that. Maybe could you just maybe comment on that, the pricing for the provider registration? Is it okay?
I don't know from the top of my head, but the initial registration to become a training provider is €2,000. But then if you add different curricula, it will not be 2,000 per added curriculum, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And it is possible for a training provider to be either just for foundation or just for practitioner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe also consideration for the chapters, because we had in the pilot projects, the pilot in Germany and Austria and Italy, they had these special profiles: BIM manager, BIM coordination, BIM specialism, and this has been removed. So the message is you can take this open BIM management right now and use that. And if you want to add a national profile, they've said a couple of times, then you can add that content. So if you feel in your chapter that they need something more, like as we've seen in Germany and Austria and Italy, that you can apply to the subcommittee to get that done. So it's additional content.
Yes, thanks, Mark. It was on the slide, but I didn't comment on that. Yes, it's important.
Thank you very much. Actually, my question, joining what Mark has just said, I'm the PSERT manager of the buildingSMART Moroccan chapter. Really good to have the program launched worldwide because it's the next step for the certification. I think going for the practitioner side is really, really needed in the industry. Within the national content, I just have a specific question. So for example, here, specifically with the Moroccan chapter, there are some works that are going through the national profiles of what's a BIM manager, BIM practitioner, BIM modeler. We're going through a deeper work where we're trying to get information about the specific salaries, qualifications. And is it something that we can, I think, just like now, spontaneously, we can take these insights and what we're working on and have it for the national part? In this case, the buildingSMART International have like specific learning outcomes for the national part that's added, or is it flexible?
No, in this case, you develop it as a chapter based on your national regulation or national documents. Maybe you as a chapter will develop those. And then you decide that it should be included in this certification. Then you prepare the documents. We have the framework how to do it, and the committee is reviewing the documents so that they do not contradict with our international approaches. And after this approval, you also then the questions development is on you. But they can be integrated into the platform. At the moment of start, it is only oral part is added. So you will have to delegate examiners to interview the persons at the examination, at the extra 30 minutes part of exam. So then it is up to you to develop the materials, endorse it in buildingSMART, and then implement it. So if you are ready with that, if your say documents are in place, then you can think about and launch it. But if you are just in the phase of development, we would recommend you to start with international part only. So that would be a very good start. So you can add it later. We have similar experience with foundation. Some chapters launched it in like 5 modules, and then later added 6 national modules. You can follow the same here.
So that's good to know. We can start with the international thing, that the national can come afterwards.
Yeah.
A quick other question related to the admission process for the candidates themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if I understood well, so it's up to the chapter to check these admissions, or up to the service provider?
No. Training provider is providing the chapter information about those who completed the training. So the chapter may specifically check the name. So imagine you have this application from a person, and person provides you the information that the person completed the training at this training provider. It is up to the chapter just to check if it really happened. So you need to have this connection with the registered training providers to check specific completion for the person.
Okay, I might need you afterwards for the specific one-to-one, as we really interested in the Moroccan chapter to implement this. Thank you very much.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, 2 microphones at the same time. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm Matjaž from buildingSMART chapter Slovenia. I have quite some questions, but I will maybe try to be short and a few comments. Maybe first the comments. So that checking of 2 years experience might be, let's say, a bit difficult, tricky.
What do you mean?
Yeah, this checking of 2 years experience for let's say being able to apply for the practitioner program. yeah, this
We
must
have
be
proposals,
well-defined,
which
yeah.
documents to ask. We have a list of documents which might be submitted by applicant. It might be just information from employer, current employer. So this status. So there are various documents which can be submitted. It's not so difficult.
Yeah, I imagine, for example, young students who might be very already knowledgeable in BIM coming to the company, they first have to work for 2 years before they can apply for the program. But okay, nevertheless, that's, let's say, just one maybe comment. The other comment, this recertification is really a good idea. I think could be also applied for the foundation program. Any plans for that? Because I think also foundation is developing further. Yeah, one more comment maybe on.
Sorry, Mark, you
Yeah.
wanted to step in about the recertification in foundation, I think.
So as Marina said, the foundation is not an official certification program according to the ISO 17024. We're aligning it in as much as we can. And there's many different approaches you could take. I'll just tell you the approach that we took previously, was that we said this is basically, to put it simply, it's kind of an attest to someone doing a training. So they've done a training and then they've, just the exam is basically to say they've done an approved training, and that doesn't need recertification in itself. It has a date stamp on it to say that they took this course. And if you see someone took a course 10 years ago, whether it was an ArchiCAD training or whatever, you can make the judgment about the validity. Our hope is that people, rather than doing a recertification, they would jump to management or practitioner. That's the hope. But this is something we could look at. So we take it on board. That's something we could look at in terms of recertification. At the moment,
maybe.
it's just for
Maybe to think about. So the next comment, my comment is on software licenses. Okay, we understand that one person that is employed at some company is using the license from the company. So that's a bit tricky. I mean, again, because that's the certificate is, let's say, owned by the person. It's not by the company. So, and here the companies might have some, let's say, complaints about that. That's a complex topic, but just thinking because,
Yeah, we noticed that
I'm,
also
let's
already
say,
in the testing phase from the exam. We had a reviewers, testers, and you are free to choose your software. So we expect and hope that the training providers will provide that if they have it not available.
I mean, this is software that is, costs several thousands euros, and you cannot expect that somebody buys for the purpose of the exam, or, I mean, simply this is something that maybe needs some more discussion.
There are some workarounds how it can be organized in business mode, actually. So we can discuss it. Again, if we are talking about licenses for training providers or licenses for the examination.
No, for examination, because during the exam you need some software.
Yeah,
you have to own the software.
Yeah.
So you, as a person, you don't own the software. The company owns the software.
Yeah.
And that's a bit tricky.
Yeah, that's why the chapter has this right to decide that they can provide classes. So that might be an agreement with training providers about renting the classes for the examination. Chapter can organize this process. So anyway, registered training providers will have classes equipped with the software, and those classes can be rented for examination to chapter. That can be also one of the business models. Because and sometimes we expect that employers may send the people for certification, and then their computers also can be equipped. And sometimes employers do have their own training centers inside the organization.
Okay, just a comment, yeah. So sorry to be long, but let's say this process of, let's say, applying for the practitioner, let's say, education, it seems a bit strange to me. Usually training centers are actually promoting these educations programs, and they are collecting kind of leads, let's say. So it's strange that, I don't know, buildingSMART would collect leads and send these leads to chapters, and chapters will then, forward it to training providers. This is a bit strange. That's not how it's running normally. Normally, training centers are, they are the drivers on the market. They are promoting these programs and they are collecting. They know who may be the candidates. So this is a bit strange to me.
Yet it may sound look strange because again we should follow this process, separating training and certification. But what's important to remember, again, training as a part of this program is very important, and there might be cases when people just get this training and don't go for certification because there is no need for the certificate itself, but they want to get this knowledge and the skills. So training providers are free to promote them, and then the person within 1 year after completion may apply for certification as well. So they can be trained, they can use this in practice, and then after half a year or 8 months decide to go for certification. It's also the case. As for this communication, we may exclude actually this notification to chapter of that someone applied, definitely, but it is application for certification, actually, not for the training. Information about training providers will be available, so I think chapters will be ready and free to promote all the registered training providers. No problem with that. I don't see any other way, but certification personnel sitting in the chapter are key participants of the project, and they should follow some processes. That's why it is a bit different view on the process and on the situation. But absolutely, registered training providers are key participants. We have no doubts about it. They are, and they will stay.
Just 2 more quick questions. What's the scope of this material comparing to the foundation, let's say? Scope of practitioner versus foundation? What's the scope of translation, let's say, and the materials?
Amounts are compared.
We know, the foundation, let's say, not the scope, let's say, how many pages, lines, whatever is to be translated, so that's just roughly speaking.
Roughly, it's equal. In my opinion, the body of knowledge is the same amount, and it's maybe a little bit more, but I think it's more or less equal.
It's for body of knowledge, but we have these guides, and guides are from 7 to 10 pages. Guides.
Okay. And the final one for the pricing. Okay, we've heard how much, let's say, actually the cost of the exam, right? For the foundation, we had a recommendation also for the training providers, let's say, price for the education. Will we have some recommendations here as well?
No.
No, we don't, and we don't do that also for buildingSMART doesn't do that for training providers, also not for foundation.
Well, we had some years ago that was in the let's say official materials were recommendations for the
training provider registration
prices
fee.
for trainings.
Yeah, for the registration, but we have a fixed fee now for that. Yeah, so not for the training itself, it's determined by the market.
Oh, at least I know the materials from 21, 22 that contained that, but nevertheless, okay. So no recommendation. Okay.
No, there was never a training fee recommendation. We have a very clear principle about that, because we leave that up to the market for the training providers to determine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let's see.
Okay.
So thanks for the presentation. Maybe the questions I'm going to propose is a bit too early, considering that this is more of a dialogue of buildingSMART International against chapters. And I'm talking about like the people or companies who want to get their employees certified. Question or challenge for at least company I'm working at is that we are working in multinational context. And demands are different in different continents, in different markets. In some of the places, ironically, that we have a lot of need for these professional certification on the practitioner level, we do not have chapters, or they are not that active, they are very new. So I have some thoughts. Would that be possible to do international certification first and then apply for a particular national certification? Because there could be a practitioner who works in, I don't know, UAE, but then they also would have another project in Benelux the next year, or in UK, or in APAC.
Absolutely. It is our main proposal for you chapters. If you can start with international core content, please do it.
No, but then I'm talking about 2 layers or multiple layers of certification as well. Because buildingSMART International is proposing to gatekeep it themselves. Would that be a possibility? So I apply for, I don't know, first international certificate, and then do Benelux edition, like extra module, like a different licensing, thing. But of course, a bit of a decreased fee, because then for an engineer, it would not, or for an employer, it would not make sense to pay 5 times if they want somebody to be certified in 5 different chapters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we just need to look at the
no, indeed, because it was not
certification
seen as.
upgrades. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, thanks for the question. I can speak from a foundation perspective. We also anticipated that, and chapters asked for that, and no one has done it. But theoretically, I understand. So because with foundation, there's an international core, and then you have a Chinese module 6, and you can collect them if you're an international company. So theoretically, the answer is yes. We just have to consider the pricing, and it wouldn't be the same price. It would be an additional. So you just do the oral exam. I mean, you're the task force. I'm sorry. I don't want to speak for you, but I think it's a good question. But I can tell you, if we have 10,000 people who do the exam, you'd have 5 who do that. But I think we will make allowance for that.
No, indeed, because we are doing that between UK and Benelux in our company, and yeah, so that was the thing we are struggling with right away, and it goes back to the to referral. So what you showed was that applications should come to a central committee or buildingSMART International, whatever automated service, and then it would be referred to a chapter to proceed with. What would happen? What would happen with the people who are professionally active under a particular chapter, but they want to do a certification in another chapter? Again, company I work with, we have engineers who work in Netherlands but are doing projects in other continents, or vice versa.
It all starts with the person selecting the chapter and examination. So it might be in different country, not in the one where the person lives. So it starts with selection of exams which are available. So the specific title and the specific chapter, and only then, after this selection, the process starts.
Okay. Well, I think maybe it needs some rounds back and forth to get it a bit easier to run. I could imagine that it would be bumpy at the start. And last one, the professional certification, like the foundation, from again, user or business perspective, it was more promotional for us. People either knew about these stuff, about buildingSMART, about ISO 19650, and they were doing that to promote it. So was not really for BIM pros. We were trying to show this to line management, to the digital leads, innovation leads, to get them better around these ideas. But practitioner level is something that market really needed. And you said in between your lines, this is something that even professionals could use, a bit of, getting to a framework, doing things the same thing, because the more professionals I see, they're doing their own stuff, their own style. And market is demanding for this, as I said. What I hear here, I hear long lead times. When it goes to the chapters, they have their plans. It needs to be discussed again, coming back, going back, coming forth. It would take at least a year. Would there be something faster available through buildingSMART International, maybe for international level, for certification, or some other earlier training available?
Earlier training?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that, well, I expect the lead time before this really comes to the shop floor on some chapters would be few months to a year. Is there a possibility we would get this training and certification sooner, facilitated by buildingSMART International?
I get your question, but I think it's wise to come back later on it, because let's collect, hopefully there are chapters here in the audience that they will join the program, and they can, I think, much faster than within 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a question.
I have a few questions. So regarding the buildingSMART handbook, so you say that it's just a reference, but should we translate it to our language? And if we should, must we pay something to the authors for translating? For example, I don't know if there are any kind of rights about it, or it's not our task from chapter perspective.
Well, you might imagine that in the body of knowledge that, for example, for a special module or topic, we have only the essence used from the buildingSMART handbook. So it's a kind of reference. Please pay attention to that and use that as training provider in the training. So you don't have to translate the whole buildingSMART handbook, but only this essence you can use in the training.
It's okay. For me, it's less work to not translate nothing, but just if helpful for the training providers, just to know if we can do it or not.
Christian, one of the authors.
Yeah.
So maybe I can answer that. Actually, we're working on some translations already. So the translation will be done by us with a chapter. For example, we're working with the Francophone Forum together to make a French translation, and also with the Italian chapter. So if this is done, it is done with the authors together and with the chapter who wants to translate it in the language. So if you want to have a translation after the buildingSMART handbook, just contact me, and then we can set up something.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Another question is about the examiners. So there is any requirements to select the examiners, and how much must be paid the examiners to do their work in each exam?
We have the best experience, I think, in this regards, coming also from Austria, Christian, because yes, if you go for national examination, we need local examiners. So, Christian, maybe you can just make some recommendations.
In Austria and Germany, we have this kind of extracurricular, which is besides the core, coordination and BIM management. And this is the only one where we have national examiners who make an oral exam, for example, and test the people. And it's roughly, I think, about €100 per test per examiner. We always have 2 people there and 1 person from buildingSMART overlooking the exam. But this is like an extra curriculum to the core. Exactly. It's this exam fees for the
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in case of foundation, if I remember well, the minimum duration of the course. I think it's 16 hours or something like that, maybe.
Yeah,
So
sorry, I didn't mention it. 24 hours.
24 hours. So I was thinking in this course, which is the minimum time.
Yes, 24 hours. For openBIM practitioner course. Yeah.
Okay, so that's all.
The one behind was here. Do we have still time for one or two questions?
Was it yes? Okay, so I'll try to be quick. So regarding software and hardware, it was already started to address, but I'm from Portugal, PCERT Portugal. Our current practice now is that usually providers provide the license for the software because they have like student licenses, agreements with the software houses, but the hardware is usually a responsibility of the students. Do you think this is possible to keep this practice we already have in place? Because as I understand, the responsibility of software and hardware was to the training providers. My question is not being clear, is it?
Well, what we did, maybe it's not a correct answer, but what we did is we include that buildingSMART has two references to a database. So you have certified, for example, IFC, BCF software vendors, and there is a database with self-declared software. And the candidate can choose their own software. So they can have certified software or even free available software. They can pick them themselves. We expect that the training provider will help them with student license or trial license, but people should have the same situation as in the market, pick their own software.
Sure, and but the hardware. So are the training providers supposed to provide the computers to the students?
They are not obliged to do that. No, okay. Certification is different. If there is an agreement between chapter and training provider, for example, for renting the class with hardware and software on some commercial agreement, so again, then it can happen. So chapter organizes, schedules examination and invites candidates for the examination to the class. And that can happen. Otherwise, the exam happens on remotely, for example, then it is up to the person to decide which software is to be installed on the computer.
Okay.
And again, our requirements for the hardware are not very high because the materials, the data sets are light. But it is just to meet requirements of the standards themselves. So it's not high in the engineering solutions. So it's not like multi-story buildings to be. It's not the case.
Yeah, sure. No, but in practical question, having to provide computers to the students or not, it's kind of important, even if the requirements are.
Okay, I'm from the Turkish chapter. We have PCERT. We have 5 training providers. 2 of them are universities. 3 of them are software sellers, distributors, whatever. One of them is Autodesk, the other is Archicad, etc., etc. This is something commercial. buildingSMART International doesn't tell you what type of hardware or software you need to use for the students, for the exams, etc. It is up to you and your providers, right? You don't make us choose what we are going to use as a software or open source or whatever we want to use.
Exactly.
So what our providers are doing, the universities are using the student softwares where you can use free of charge as students, but the other training providers, because they want to sell the training, this is their main objective. It is not, BIM's future for the country or something. Basically, they are doing something commercial. So if they want to sell their training, they need to provide them with the software, hardware, whatever they need to do. If not, it's up to them again. So it is up to the student to choose what type of provider they are going to go do the training with. Do you see what I mean? It depends on the provider. It depends on how the way they are doing businesses. So
exactly, and as additional, we noticed by the reviewers there is a lot of free software coming available last period. For example, for creating IDS, there are even good free options also there.
For example, some of contractor companies or architectural offices are supporting their engineers to apply to these trainings and financially help them to get the exams. This may be a answer to you as well. The certificate is the student certificate. The company may or may not want to support the student or engineer, whatever. But if they do, this means they are going to have more employees with certificates, officially certificated employees, which is good advertising for them, for their customers. Because, for example, if you are a material producer and if you have 2 engineers with PCERT Foundation certificate, this is what you are going to use to your customers. This is how I'm, telling all these companies to make them apply for these certificates. So this is commercial, and this is how you sell it as a chapter. This is how you sell the certificate and the exams. Because I tell we always tell our members that it is very good to have this internationally accepted certificate, because when you apply for go to tender for a project in Dubai, then you can say that you have this many certificated practitioners or I don't know, engineers, etc.
Thank you.
Is it okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that we have 2 providers and the situation is the same. I was just making sure that they have no obligations, as they can agree with the students. Our offer is this. If you like, it's okay. If you don't, it's up to you to choose another provider.
Yeah.
Okay.
The main thing I understand for the last 3 years is buildingSMART International is trying to make everything so flexible that more people will be certified. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay, just a final question about the involvement of the chapter in the exam. So thinking only on the international part, do we need to have someone there at the exam from the chapter?
Yes. We need someone to check the documents to get to give admission. So again, it's a person from the chapter to verify documents.
Yeah, that's
but the
prior.
exam scheduling, and then it is proctoring. Then if it is
it's up to the chapter. The
up to the proctoring, and then within 3 days after examination, they are supposed to provide the results. So the results are more or less automated, but it may require some, say, manual activities.
Process.
But it's more or less a level of administrator. It's not a level of examiner.
Okay.
So you need a head in the office for this.
Thank you.
Would you like any closing comments?
Yeah, maybe it's good to end this session. And if you have questions, like Marina said, we are available next days. And I like this enthusiasm. So please come up to us, isn't it, Marina?
Yes, please. So let's use this opportunity while we are here to have individual meetings if it's needed. We have these rooms available. You may see it. Maybe 15 minutes would be enough to answer all your questions. There might be some maybe particular situations which we haven't thought about, but most probably we will give you some answers which you will be satisfied. Again, it's important to understand that it's different from foundation. And training providers are independent actors on the market, so they are supposed to again to do business with us, disseminating knowledge. We have this guide, so training providers should be aware of all these aspects of certification, but they are not a part of it. So just to inform what is expected, maybe give some recommendations, but not participate in this process itself. It is chapters part this time. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully you will get interested and you will see you soon talking with us about details of your signing with openBIM Practitioner. So, thank you.